Today I'm going to show you how I decorated this cheeseburger cake. Come join me. So this cake is a 2-layer 6-inch marble cake. So before actually decorating the cake, I spent some time making the fondant pieces. Here you see me making some of the pieces of lettuce. So I'm using some green fondant to shape and cut this piece of fondant into the shape of some pieces of fondant. While you're not going to see it in this video, I also made some pieces of fondant into pieces of yellow cheese, some red tomatoes, and also some pieces of onion. So in this section, I am taking a ball tool and just running it along the edge of this piece of fondant to try to get this to have that kind of folded or rippled edge that you see in a piece of lettuce. So I'm cutting and really trying to shape this piece of fondant into what would be the shape of a piece of lettuce. And I'm also going to be adding right here that center vein that you see in each piece of lettuce. So I'm just trying to fold it to make that section kind of protrude out to make it be more prominent. So here I'm taking one of the cakes and I'm cutting it down and just making it be more smoothly rounded, like the top of a hamburger roll. And once I have this top piece the way that I want it to be shaped, I'm going to take that bottom half and I'm going to cut it so that we have the bottom section of it to be the bottom part of the roll, and then the part above that, that will be our hamburger. So now I'm going to start to decorate. So I'm putting some icing onto the board so it doesn't move around, and I'm going to cover this bottom bun or this bottom piece of cake with some icing. So I'm paying close attention to make sure that I cover all of this up, including along the edge against the cake board, just to make sure that it definitely looks like a bottom hamburger roll. And once I get this completely covered, I'm going to take another cake board and I'm going to cover that second piece of cake, and I'm going to cover that with a brown color, and that's going to function as our hamburger. In between these layers, I'm going to put the bottom hamburger roll into the refrigerator so that it can cool while I'm working on coating and icing the hamburger portion of the cake. And this is going into the fridge now. So here I am, I'm beginning to work on the hamburger piece. Again, putting icing onto the board to keep it from sliding around. And now we're going to cover this one too. Cleaning up that board a little bit. And making sure that the edges are nice and crisp and clean and all smoothed out. And now that we have this one done, we're going to put this one on top of the bottom hamburger roll right here. And then we're going to begin to put our toppings onto this, on top of our hamburger. So of course we're going to start with our piece of cheese, which we're going to put on here momentarily. I'm going to clean up the edges that messed up as I was transferring it onto the hamburger bun. And now we're going to begin by putting the cheese on top of our hamburger. Next step, we are going to add some tomatoes that I mentioned that I made. I'm only putting halves on top of this. I'm using some buttercream to hold these down. And I'm only putting them like at the edge so that they show through. Adding the lettuce, again using some buttercream to hold these down in place. And making sure that they peek through on the sides. And then I'm adding some onions, again using buttercream to hold them, making sure that they peek out the sides of the cake. And then now I'm going back to another cake board and I'm going to do the top of our hamburger bun, and I'm going to ice this part of the cake as well. So I'm going to make sure that it is completely covered, and then I want to make sure that this is really smooth and really sharp to make it look like a hamburger roll. So once I get this completely covered, I put this into the freezer, let it get kind of firm, and then I'm going to use a gloved hand, and I'm just going to wet my hand and kind of run it over top of this to make sure that it is super, super smooth, just like a hamburger roll. And if my hand is cold, then it doesn't melt as good, so to make it smooth. So I make sure that I'm using warm water as I'm doing that. Here I am adding some sesame seeds to the top of my roll, using some white buttercream. And with that, that is going to complete the look of my cheeseburger here. So we're just going to do that across the whole top, and then we will be finished with the design of this cake. I'm using a brush just to kind of push some of those sesame seeds down that are kind of poked up from me pulling away too quickly. And that is it. And so here is the final look of the cake. If you enjoyed watching this video, I encourage you to like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss any future content. And I would love to just thank you again for joining us. I really appreciate you joining me, and I hope that you have a fabulous day. And this, as I mentioned, is what we look like in our completed cake. Thank you again, and have a fabulous day.